GoPro today, so it's going to be bouncy on my handheld. So let's get to work. But we got a new pair of shoes on. I mean, it's relatively new. We've had them for maybe a week and a half, but we started to push distance enough. Oh crap. But we started to push our distance enough that we got a nice ankle cut. So we'll see where everything lands. I'm not all that hopeful about today's run. Ooh, lizard. But welcome to Tokyo, friends. But we're super sore, super fatigued. We've eaten like crap this weekend. Garbage in, garbage out. So there's a million reasons why we should just quit this run altogether. I figures why not wake up and try. Our sleep's been erratic. Fun. We had a fun late night. And that just destroyed me. My system's not used to it. And that was 2 days ago. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out. But hopefully it'll be a good run. It's nice out. It's probably the only perk we got. It's just the weather seems somewhat favorable. But it's one of those things where I gotta tell myself I got time. We don't need to go fast. We're trying to go far. But it is gonna be a bloody ankle day. I could just feel it. Look at that sunrise. That's so nice. It's a nice beat in the sun. Simply sociable. Good morning. Welcome to Tokyo. I'll check your comment once I clear the stairs. How's it going? Trying to strike a chord. It's probably. Probably what? I want to hear this chord. I miss my guitar. I'm an instrumentalist. Play drums, keyboard, electric, acoustic, bass. But we had to move into a nice, small Japanese house. Whew. It's still a big house by Japanese standards. Whew. But it butts up against another home, so we're not allowed to play music. That's a big time bummer. It's funny. My feet are sore. My ankles sore. My hips and shoulders are sore. Every long run seems to start off the same, with just a little bit of dread. What is it? Our Thanos quote. Dread it. Run from it. destiny still arrives. It's like, I'm over here telling myself I can still do this. Even if desirability is low. Diverna. Egu. Sapau. WF. Ego. Wait. Egus. What? Oh, it's held for review. I don't know what's being said, friends. I speak a little bit of Japanese. Are you saying bad things? This is a friendly channel. Be nice. I won't put you in timeout yet. You keep. My brain's not here. I'm not ready for chat yet. Here's your nice river for the morning. Whew, let's do some Wim breathing. Whew, double breath. Push out. Gifu of Japan. Oh. Alright. You're in timeout. Give you 5 minutes to cool off. Well, I mean, I don't know if that's nice or what. I am a white guy in Japan. That is true. But I mean, well, we've lived here 2.5 years. I'm also a quarter Japanese. So, it's funny. Growing up in America, I always identified as more Japanese than anything else. Whew. My last name's Japanese, right? And then as soon as we moved to Japan, I was like, oh, I'm a white American. There's some stuff going on here that I wasn't raised in. So I'm like third generation. Yeah. So let me see if I get the generations right. So my great-grandfather immigrated to Hawaii from Wakayama, Japan. My grandfather was born in Hawaii, but definitely full Japanese mother and father. And then he was actually, during World War II, a lot of Japanese Americans were put in internment camps, which is a whole bunch of humanity issues with that. But he actually fought in the U.S. military in this group called the Nisei, which is one of the most decorated groups of the U.S. military. Fought on the German front and met my grandma in Berlin, who was half German, half Swiss. So, very complex history. I'm not really sure how they fell in love and spanned the gap, but pretty cool. And then they ended up moving to California, had 8 kids, and my dad was the youngest. How his name was. It's a nice, complex family history. So fun. We're at like 0.6 miles. Allegedly we're going 8 miles today. At least at this juncture I don't feel it. So it will be quite an accomplishment if we actually go the full distance today. Every run starts off with some level of inertia that you have to break through, whether it's the comfort of your bed and the snooze alarm, or it's too hot outside, or it's too cold outside, or it's raining, or you're sore. Or you didn't sleep well. There's always something we gotta push through. But here we are, plunking along. And every long run for me is just an opportunity to measure how far we've come, to see the progress, the fruit of consistency. We're on like day 450 of our fitness journey, and we're still big. 6'3", 300 pounds, trying to get out here and run 8 miles. But it's gorgeous. Stairs, don't die. So, what we want to do at this point in the run, friends, see if we can find a pace and lock in. And that pace doesn't have to be fast. It just has to be a pace. We're looking for progress here. So we want to progress forward. But it's weird, we're running. But we want to keep the cardio out of it. I know things can look really fast right now with the camera sideways. I guarantee I'm not going that quick. Just going far, and then we'll see. Ideally, if we set a good pace, we can lock it and progress a long distance, and that's where the magic is. But there's a lot of things that have to go right to actually hit that distance. I need good form. My core has to be engaged. I need good breathing. So the cardio doesn't get out of control. I need a strong mindset. Or maybe a stubborn one. Just have to be stubborn and continue to progress through an experience we don't enjoy, an experience we don't want. Trusting that we'll see results when we see them. Like increasing the time horizon of progress from a couple weeks to a couple months to eventually years. Like really focusing on true lifestyle longevity. That's the hard part. That's the long game. I think that's where we win. Like, yeah, I'd be vulnerable. Like, I got family in town. Love my family. They're the in-laws. They used to come drive down to visit us in Ohio. Every other month we would drive up to see them. They're in Chicago. And anytime we connected, one of the main sources of connection was we just do food. We do food in a big way. In Chicago, if you haven't had Chicago cuisine, it's heavy. Like, if you look at Chicago style pizza, it's got a nice flaky crust. Panda Man. Yo, how did you get that name? That has to be like one of the most sought after names on the internet. You're not like Panda Man 5872. It's just straight up Panda Man. Incredible. The panda is my spirit animal. Big, beautiful. They can move when they want to. Still incredibly dangerous with a friendly, accessible exterior. It's perfect. Well, congratulations, friend. But anyway, family comes into town. We tend to circle around food. Everything with diet for the last, I don't know, 2.5 days. Totally off the rails. Like, no rails. Very impulsive. Almost completely out of control. Like, just walking through the kitchen. Always grabbing something to eat. Always grabbing something to drink. Tons of sugar drinks. All these things that set me back. Then getting in this headspace of like, I'm gonna lose everything. All the progress I've made. This is still who I am. And really, the realization I found from it is like, I'm on day 450. And I count the days, whether it's a perfect workout or a messy one, whether I eat on a strict meal plan or things get loose. Because progress is going to be kind of a wave that moves vertically. It takes time. And we want to control as many of the inputs as we can so we get the desired output. We're actually a mile in already. This is great. Breathe. See, a mile in? It's easy. We only got 7 more to go. Nothing. Oh God. What are we doing out here? But I started to realize, it's like questioning. It's like, why? Why am I totally out of control with food and drinking right now? With any drinks. Sugar drinks, we had like a late night, cocktails. I was like, why do I feel like crap? Like, my body just felt awful from the whole thing. And it was just a reminder of like how socialized we are towards behaviors that don't necessarily benefit us or the lives we desire. First of all, I wish I could spend tons of time with my in-laws. I wish I could travel out to see them more often, that they could do the same. But also, living out in Japan in a different social structure sets different conditions. How much you move throughout the day, how much you eat, what you're eating. Like, they brought a whole bunch of like US snacks that I used to eat a ton of as a kid. And just realizing like, oh, all this food, all these conditions that were normalized for me put me on a pathway towards obesity. And ta-da, we're obese. We're working on it. And it's not easy, right? And that feeling of like lack of control is actually really helpful for me to feel. Because it's like, I'm over here like, how do I help other people if when returned to my original social circles, I'm completely off the rails? Because I should be able to see family and have control. Family should be able to visit me in my home and I can have control. And the reality, at least of this trip, is that's not true. So it gives me something to workshop, because not everybody has the privilege and opportunity to grow up in America, eat the way we eat, live sedentary lifestyle, and then go to a context with very low BMI, body mass index. experience why it's so low. By the way, that's Kawasaki. Right now we're running in Tokyo. The big city's that way. And then there's a river that we're gonna cross over on that blue bridge way up ahead. So, whew, good progress being made. But this is a run that, in all seriousness, I wanted to skip. Put up plenty of boundaries and self-sabotage tricks to try to keep myself from getting up and getting out here. You know, whether it's like, oh, I gotta ease back into things, or oh, I haven't eaten well, oh, I have sunstroke from yesterday. Like, all these bogus limiting perspectives try to keep me in bed. Like last week, I went for a run, just did a casual stream like this on my phone, shaking people around, low quality, and some dude was motivated. And he's like, I'm putting on my shoes right now. And he got up and he went for a run while hanging out and chatting on the live. He just said, like, enough. So there's power to socialize different behaviors if we model them. If we eat differently, if we work differently. So I hate running. I don't enjoy it. It's not fun. But I've chosen it, at least in this present season, as the best thing I could do for myself. Because it forces me early in the morning to do the hardest thing first. And it conditions my mind and my attitude towards all the other things. And that's incredibly valuable. Like, to start your day with a little bit of grit, so helpful. Let's grab some water. I might even take a little mini bio break. By the way, with running, you can start and stop. Yo, bro, I remember you, Dylan Shreds. Dude, I'm thinking about a cut. What do you got? What tips you got? If you're shredded, tell me. Not necessarily for aesthetics, by the way, but for control. I was just chatting, like, in-laws are in town. I totally reverted to a completely different approach to food of, like, grazing, just cooking a whole bunch of things that are gonna slowly kill me, walking around and eating or drinking anything in sight as you hang out. Like, there's these deeply entrenched behaviors that circle around the Catan board. They head out today. I get to take them to the airport. I love them, but I was like, oh man, I have all this food in the fridge. Do I throw it away? Or do I have this sunken cost fallacy of, like, well, I have to eat it. Maybe if I eat it all quickly, it limits the hit I'm gonna take versus stretching it out. All these weird thoughts. I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should put myself on a plan. Get my macros right. Oh, because that was. maybe pull back on the butter. Just like 12%. I love my butter eggs. If you want to go on a cut, then the most important thing is your diet, of course. Yeah, I'm working on calculating all that. I'm also going to try to get my protein up to, I think you're supposed to set it, well, everyone's got a different opinion. Either your body weight or your ideal body weight. I know I'm not there yet. But the other thing is, like, you can't up your protein and not constrict dirty carbs, because if you add more protein, you add more calories, right? So there has to be like a transfer. Whew. So I gotta reimagine how I approach all my meal prep. But in reality, I just gotta do like, I don't know, 6 to 8 meal swaps. Just cook something different, because I already cook at home. That's kind of where my headspace is at. I'm gonna use this bathroom if I can get to it. I think I'll feel lighter. I'll have to set you somewhere nice so you can see the sunrise for a second. But yeah, I don't track food. I've used MyFitnessPal quite a few times. So I'm like circling that. I'm like, alright, we're gonna do this. We're gonna just normalize that I write down what I eat. So on the back end of the day, I know if I'm actually on the path of progress or not. Alright, I'm gonna set you down so you can look at the sunrise. I'm gonna use that magic box. Set you down by this tree. But also, I do fitness training, and I'm like, maybe I need to start setting up some simple meal plans. All right, I'll be right back, friends. It's gooey packet time. Oh joy. These are the best. And by the best, I mean the absolute worst experience. Nobody wants to eat these things. Truly disgusting. Nope. Ugh. Why is it so bad? So we're gonna walk and eat this and then we'll jog again. We're just about at 2 miles. So we're like the quarter of the way in point so far. Back, hips are holding up okay. My ankle's not bleeding as bad as I thought it would. Making good time. Hitting water and energy. We'll see how far we can progress down this rabbit hole. How much suffering are we in the mood for today? All the suffering, all the gains. Oh, it's too hot, my friends. It's not even bad. The sun's not even on our back yet, but it's coming. It's popping its head over. I see it reflecting off that building. And by reflecting, I mean like burning the side of that building. The sun's a scorcher in Tokyo in the summer. Normally it gets up to like 100 degrees, full humidity. I'm not even kidding. Like 98% humidity. These outlandish numbers where you're like, so basically, you're telling me it's not going to be raining when I walk outside. It's like I'm swimming. It's a free pool. It's a very hot pool. And we're walking through it, right? It's a good time. Okay. Let's breathe. All right. Trying to get my form, rediscover my bounce. Again, friends, we're a big guy, 300 pounds, trying to progress 8 miles. We'll see how far we can get. We're 2 miles in, so progress has been made. But that still means we got 3/4 of the way left to go. So things will start getting more and more challenging as we cross different turnaround points. The way that I run, which is different than some, I do something called loop running. Nope, I lied. I do line running. Most people, I think, tend to do loop running. And the idea is like, gotta breathe. We're getting too excited. Gotta mellow out for a second. Oh, 1 minute. How can I love? Hear that? Run! But no, loop running is like, today I'm gonna go run 1 mile. So maybe you go on an app and you trace a loop, a rectangle down some streets. You're like, I know that loop is a mile. And then in order to do 1.5 miles or 2 miles, you make a bigger loop and a bigger loop. And then eventually, like, so you start training for your half marathon, maybe start making little weird, crunchy paths that go through different trails. The problem with it, when you're doing a loop, is that from 1 week to the next, it's hard to measure progress as well as inertia. Inertia is like what keeps you where you're at, because stretching an extra mile requires you to draw a whole new loop. And the way that you'll feel along that whole new loop, even though some parts will likely overlap, it's difficult to pace out where you're at compared to the previous week, how much farther you need to push. I mean, you likely have to consent to the loop ahead of time if you drew it out, unless you're one of them type B personalities where you're like, I'll just go run and we'll figure it out. That's the worst. Like, let me figure out how to arbitrarily stretch this loop a little bit more. Because we naturally, or at least I do, because I'm an engineer, I break things into chunks. So if you picture a rectangle where you move to the right and you go up, to the left and down, a loop, right? Moving to the right's hard because you recognize, all right, my distance from home is increasing. That is a distance that I will need to run back on the other side of the rectangle. Going up, you're like, my distance from home is increasing even more. And there's no way to get back home without figuring it out. And then at halfway, you have this huge wall of demotivation because you're like, I'm halfway, but I have to rerun that same path, but it's all kind of new because it's a different area. So for me, loop running has a lot of issues with it, where it demotivates me. I can't catch a rhythm, and I can't compare one run to the next because the area where you add more distance is always at a different spot in the loop, just based on your local geography. What I prefer, breathe. It's okay, we're gonna make it. You're like almost at 2.5 miles. The reason I know that is because I run in a line. I run as far as I can down a familiar path, and then I turn around at halfway and run back the same path. It's measured. Now here, let me walk you through some thought experiments, okay? Let's pretend that today's workout we're supposed to go 6 miles. It's really 8. Let me review this message. Loving Japan aesthetics. So retro and bouncy. Oh, they are bouncy. Bodies move, my friend. It's just part of life. But with line running, if I'm supposed to do 6 miles, I know the 3 mile halfway marker is under that bridge. The 2.5 mile marker is under that bridge. So if I know that last week, even though it was challenging, we made it out to 5 miles, I knew that I made it to that point, which means if I want to get a 6 mile run in, it's some weird math. It's a psychological trick, even though I know my own trick. If I want to add an extra mile to get to 6, at this point in the run, all I have to do is convince myself to run an extra half mile, because that'll get me to the 3 mile marker. And I can do in my head like, well, we know at 2.5 miles, I was able to get all the way home, right? I knew that from this point, even though it might have been messy on the back end, I was able to do the full return path. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty tired right now, but yeah, I can stretch it out. We can go a little farther. I guess we can run up this stupid hill. So you give yourself these anchors to trick yourself to keep progressing. Just kidding, my guys. How many miles are we running? I don't know. We're supposed to hit 8. I'm a big guy, 300 pounds. I hate running, but I do it anyway. And we're training up for the Tokyo Legacy Half Marathon, which is in October. I've been in kind of a rhythm of my long runs float between 5 miles and 8 miles. So we're getting to the point where this race is like six weeks out. So I have to start thinking about pushing past 8. A half marathon's 13.1. Most beautiful bridge in Japan. I hate it because I always have to run to it. Gotta run over it. I gotta run away from it. And then I gotta run back to it, back up it, back over it. It's like a Bearstein Bears book. You ever read Bearstein Bears as a kid? How do I avoid shin splints? I mean, tip raises are awesome. Part of it's just strengthening it. And then the other piece is like learning how to run with augmented form. Yeah, Mount Fuji. Oh, crap. It's right behind that building. But if you remind me over there, we might be able to catch a view at it. It's a little cloudy. So we won't be able to see Mount Fuji. So we run all the way to the 8 mile marker and then cross over. Tokyo Bay is that way. But for shin splints, a big part of it's just form. One second. I try not to bother Japanese people when I'm running. It's beautiful though. This is the Futaka Tamagawa River. Slowly dying, 2.5 miles in. Luckily my line running has already tricked me into a 5 mile workout, even if we're not even 3 miles there. Now, that said, we always have the temptation to call a cab to take us home. be a very expensive cap. But for shin splints, sorry, I'm distracted. I'm being like a tour guide at the same time. Is part of it's learning how to run with form. If you run with good form, especially if you're a heavier person like me, you avoid a ton of injury. If you run naturally, like the way you learned in grade school and high school, and you just try to run far and fast, and let's say you're a little bit older, maybe got married, had your first kid. Cramped in Tokyo? Yes. Very cramped in Tokyo. Way more vertical than New York. Yes, I have been in New York. I gave a TED Talk in New Jersey in Asbury Park. But I actually drove in Times Square in a Kia Sorento. Which is like a Ford Explorer. It's like a giant tank of a rental. I didn't know when I picked full size from the car rental company that that's what full size meant. I just thought it was like a normal sized car, which now I've learned is standard. But everyone has a different form for running. For me, I run a lot more with my abs and my back. People are like, don't use your back. I'll explain it. But I run more with my abs and my back than my legs. And in many ways, that prevents shin splints. Whew. Times Square. You took an Uber to Times Square. 40 minutes, yeah. It's a nightmare. Now, I will say, Tokyo's way more cramped than New York. But like, the major highways that run through Tokyo, you could spend that same amount of time crawling in traffic at the wrong time. But the proportion of cars in Tokyo to people is super low, which is kind of similar to New York, but much more exaggerated in Tokyo. Because like mass transit, trains, buses, all that infrastructure is superior to just about any country I've seen. Some people try to argue Europe. Nah, Japan has mastered public transportation. It's still hot and crowded, but they get it done, and they do it on time. So because of that, the main highway running through central Tokyo, it's only 2 lanes. I'm from Chicago originally. Chicago's Eden Expressway, I think, is 4 or 5 lanes from all the commuters coming in from the suburbs. And it's still packed and slow and stressful. So even though, you know, you're driving a highway through Tokyo, it's only 2 lanes. People can get it done. Traffic still happens, but if you hit it at a non-traffic point, it's easy. And everything's built vertical. So you got trains underground, you have city streets that are flat, and then all their expressways are built above the city streets. So like in Chicago, your main highways are level with the ground. Sure, you got entrance ramps and exit ramps. Sometimes intersections will have a bridge that goes over the way or under it. But in Japan, it's completely inverted. All your major city streets are flat. Whew. And then all your highways are like 6 stories in the air. That's why they're so expensive though, because you gotta get up on there. So that's a lot of fun. But yeah, for my form though, for your shin splints question, to avoid it, I tend to do chi running. And with chi running, if you picture your body, you want to tilt it very gently forward. And you want your feet landing just under your center of mass, so just under your hips, or even slightly behind. You want to focus more on kicking your legs back versus forward. It's beautiful out here. We're in a hurry. We're hitting some fatigue. So we're like, oh, let's be done with this. It's like, no, you're not done with this. We are still very much in the meat of this workout. Okay, we just hit 3 miles, which means we're now at the point of the run where we're consenting to increasing the challenge. Last week we made it to 7 miles, which was a 3.5 mile marker. We're maybe a third of the way there from the last marker. And then we get to casually run beyond that to 4 miles and then trick ourselves into running home. So we got a lot of run left. Views look serene. Oh my gosh, this area is awesome. Like, I'm so privileged to live in Tokyo, like central Tokyo, but to still be able to get out here and run. Because like green spaces like this are actually pretty rare in Japan. So it's a really, really nice river park. And I normally wake up at 4 a.m. to get out here. So it's usually like completely empty. Now at this point in the run, I'm gonna start seeing people. But as a live streamer, I like to respect people's privacy and not be a bother. So for your shin splints, we'll keep circling back to this because it's a good topic. When I run, I actually brace or engage my core and my lower and mid back. So I make everything kind of taut, not over braced, but taut, like a rubber band, right? That's just stretched a little bit. 1 second. Great question, actually both. So I use Map Your Run by Under Armour. It's free. Helps me map my run. But I've done this loop so much that I have a pretty strong sense of the markers. So we'll see, like up ahead, just past that bridge thing, that should be 3.5. So I don't even need to bother checking until I get close. 1 more second, I got to pass these ladies. So when I run, I'm bracing my core and my back. I'm holding everything taut. I tilt slightly forward. It's a very slight lean. I try to keep my feet landing under my body or slightly behind the center of my body. And then I gently focus more on kicking backwards as opposed to bringing my legs past my center of mass. The best way to describe this is like a forward fall. So you're just tilting far enough forward that's like each foot is catching you so you don't fall on your face. The secret is to learn how to do it just gradual enough that you really have command over the pace, so you can keep it conversational. I'm breathing. I'm getting in my head because I know I'm close to the turnaround, but not there, so it's like I'm becoming demotivated. Even though the run's actually pretty clean today compared to some of my other ones. But when you do that, your shins don't get loaded and strained. YouTube live pace. Exactly right. You'll be able to maintain a wonderful conversation with our good friend Jose, who I'm assuming is from New York, where you just wanted to compare
Yeah, you gotta be in New York because you took an Uber. Unless you're driving across that bridge from New Jersey. Everything's legal in Jersey. So when you do cheat running and you kind of keep everything tilt a little bit, you still use your shins when you run. Like the tibs are engaged, but they don't get strained the same way. And you actually end up using your glutes more. So you squeeze your butt like you're trying to break open a walnut between the cheeks. Like you want to keep everything taut and aligned. Use your hamstrings more, which run along the back of your leg. And then you're using your shins and your quads. Quads are the big muscle on top of your legs. You're using them less. Now, if you're landing with your feet past your center of gravity, you know, for instance, on your heel, and then you're pulling your body forward over that foot, that's like how sprinters run. Well, I mean, every sprinter has a different approach. But typically, you're really striding your legs out far. You're from Texas. Ah, you visited your sister. That's lovely. Lovely, lovely. Here's a nice little Japanese garden curated by all the Oba-chan and Oji-chan. That's like the cute way of saying grandma and grandpa. Oba-chan, Oji-chan. But when you're landing with your feet farther in front of your center of mass, that puts more load on your quads, on your shins. It's higher impact in your knees, but it's necessary. We're in the struggle point of this run. It's necessary if you're trying to go fast. Like if speed's the goal, mechanically, you want to open up your stride and push far. So if you're a marathon racer, that's a whole different mechanic. But for me, it's about distance and progress and trying to pull as much impact out. So like, I built a half marathon training program. It's completely free. It's called DadBod, and it makes long distance running accessible to your average Joe, folks who are heavier set, have pre-existing health conditions or prior sports injuries. It's 16 weeks long. The first 4 weeks, we focus a lot on strength and conditioning so that you can get your core braced. And for the cardio, we really don't run at all. There's a tiny bit of jogging, but the main goal at the end of 4 weeks is to teach you how to walk with that chi form that I explained. And we train you to walk a 5K. And then from there we start jogging with the same form and build up our mileage until we hit the half marathon. When I did my half marathon at the end of that program and recorded it, I got hit by COVID on like week 12 of the 16-week journey, which was brutal. It took me out training for like 2 full weeks. Coming back, I was still able to run the half marathon. The half marathon's 13.1 miles. By like mile 9 to 10, you know what gave out on me? It wasn't my shins, it wasn't my legs. I just lost core contraction. I couldn't hold or brace my form. Couldn't keep my back taut and tilted safely. So the last portion of the run turned into a walk-run mess of a workout. I didn't get injured, but I didn't feel very good. All right, we got 0.13 miles until the turnaround, and that'll be a clean 4 miles. Intermittent fasting? Yes, I do intermittent fasting. My eat window closes at 7 p.m. and then My first meal is at 11. Now, because of where I time out workouts and stuff, like I'll still drink pre-workout or recovery. So I'm not like a zealot about it. Where family is in town, so I've been eating breakfast with them. But no, intermittent fasting's great. I will say, there's a couple things intermittent fasting does. Or I would say a couple reasons why it's successful for some and not for others. Intermittent fasting is not a golden bullet to lose weight, for instance. What it does is it gives you a sense of control. It helps you put food in its proper place, where you're not just indulging all day, all evening, all morning. But you're saying, actually, this is my food time. This is when I fuel, and I get back to all the other important stuff in life, right? Check my time. Distance 3.94, we're close. So for instance, if you do intermittent fasting, but you still have the same caloric intake as prior to intermittent fasting, you're just putting your body into weird asynchronous like starvation modes. Dude, you lost 60 pounds? That's sick. So you're one of the success cases. If you do intermittent fasting, what it's really helping you do is you're cutting off all the non-value added eat times. Like, how many of us can remember a time at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night where opening the fridge was a genuinely good decision? None of us, right? 4 miles, let's cut it back. All right, we have to get to that side of the river. By running over that bridge, oh my God. Oh, we have so far to go. Let's see if our battery and our cell signal holds up. Jose, friend, you've been here a while. Appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed or clicked the little dingly bell, you don't need to. I don't expect that out of anybody. But I do want you to know my live streams are volatile. Sometimes I hit data limits, battery issues. So if you don't do those things, it's a lot harder for us to reconnect in the future, because I sure as heck won't ever find you on the internet. Right? So if you want to catch the next run and continue these discussions, let's go for it. That said, I still have a whole nother hour to live stream, assuming things work well. But there's your call to action. You can decide what you do with it. Have a good one. I'm not done. Don't leave. We still got... Don't leave me here. This run has been so chill because I actually have someone to talk to. It doesn't always happen. I've been going back and forth in my head. Dude, go run. I'm gonna go run now. That's the second time this has happened in like 3 days. Where I went live, I'm on a run, I'm chatting with folks, and then this other guy was like, hey, I'm inspired. I'm putting on my shoes right now. I was like, no way, dude. That's awesome. So I think there's value in bringing people together and modeling different lifestyles. Like, there's nothing easy about what I'm doing. It's hard, it's uncomfy. When you leave, I'll have to find the motivation to keep going without the conversation. Want to do a marathon? Dude, you got 22 weeks to run. January 25. Do you have a plan? Do you need help building a plan? I have a Discord, so if you find the link in my bio to join my Discord and DM me, I can help you build out a plan. Because if you're at like, what's your average mileage right now? By the way, if you need to put your shoes on and run, just go run. But 16 weeks, I could get you to a half marathon safely, unless you have a good base level of fitness. Then you can skip the first 4 weeks. So then that 12 weeks would get you to a half marathon. Then another 10, you could stack to 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. And then those last 3 miles are adrenaline anyway. So I have a whole half marathon plan, at least a half one. Oh, you got the Run It app. Okay. Plan running 4 days a week. That's awesome. Let me know how that works. Maybe someday DadBod will have an app. Right now, all my workouts are hosted on Google Classroom. That's where I put everything. Although eventually I'm gonna migrate it to School, SKOOL. So I'm gonna start a DadBod community there for people enthusiastic about fitness. It'll be free. People can sharpen each other, push them forward. 4 days of running a week, that could work. I prefer 3, but everyone has a different plan. What's your Discord called? It's just a family frenzy. I don't know if you could search for a family frenzy and find it though. There's a link in my YouTube bio. Eventually I'm gonna actually have like links to a landing page in my videos themselves. I'm still getting started, but Discord's the fastest way that I could at least reconnect with someone from the live if they follow and DM me. And then I could be like, hey, here's a link to join DadBod, or if you want all these workouts, if you want to supplement your runs with strength workouts. I do 3 days of lifts a week, 3 runs a week, and then 1 recovery day where I stretch, foam roll, and play Beat Saber. And that's my rhythm. All right. But yeah, for my approach to running, the reason I do 3, I find that some people feel like they need to run every day to train for a half marathon or for overall health and wellness. I don't think that's necessary. Sunrise or sunset? Sunrise. Welcome to Tokyo, friend. So we're just getting started. But oh man, we're struggling. We're sore. It's good. Abs are still steady. That's beautiful form. So the feet are landing behind his butt. Like if you dropped a line straight from his butt to the ground, his toes are landing right on the line, which means he's got, again, a slight lean, a controlled fall forward. That's really clean form. Bro is probably 70 years old. Japanese people don't age. That's not true. They feel older, but they visually seem to age way slower than Americans. You know, Americans cross a wide range of cultures, race, ethnicity, lifestyle, ages folks faster. In the US, things degrade quicker. Whew. But yeah, I do 3 runs a week. I start my program on Monday, which is today for me. And on Monday, I go after the hard one. I do my long runs on Monday, coming in recovered. A lot of programs, I'm not sure what your Run It app did, but a lot of programs will do the long runs on Saturday. And I find that, especially later in the training, sure, you have what we could call bottomless time on the weekend, but like making yourself wake up on Saturday and knowing you're gonna go disappear for 1 to 3.5 hours, depending on pace, it gets old. And when you have kids like me, I have 4 of them, like that Saturday family time is precious. It's hard fought, right? You want to make the most of that. So I moved the long runs up to Mondays, and that way I can go to bed on Sunday around 8 or 9, and then depending on the distance, wake up at 4 or 3:30 a.m. and go out and hit it. and get back in time to get the kids off to school so I could be there when they wake up, be present. We gotta find water. And then on Wednesdays, I do my recovery run. So Monday, I do a long run. I do the very hardest aspect holistically of half marathon training that I can. First thing Monday, like very, very first thing, which means Sunday I gotta prep. Like, gotta get my GoPro ready if I'm gonna live stream it. Gotta pack my gooey package, my pre-workout, get my clothes out. I want to set it up so Monday morning's automatic and we lock in. Okay, you're shooting for 5 to 6 hours. That's a nice pace. That's very reasonable. I think you could train up to it. What's your base level of fitness? You made the plan last night. Oh wow, so this is a very fresh decision you've made. That's amazing. Day 1 of training. Let's go. Well, my program starts at day 0, so I know you played for Jaga, so give it a shot. But if it doesn't give you strength stuff, you got to build core. And that's how I was getting to my argument. So Monday, long run. Tuesday, I lift and stretch. So I hit everything, legs, back, whatever. We don't have to go through my splits right now. And they alternate every 4 weeks. I have 4 different blocks I rotate through. Each block has 3 different workouts. I repeat those 4 times each, and then I loop to the next block. We're gonna grab some water. And then Wednesday's recovery. So the whole goal of Wednesday is to just get some light distance, to get out on my body, see where I can go. Sometimes I don't even set a distance goal. It's normally between 2 and 4 miles. In the beginning, it was just 1. Oh, the sun is brutal. Although I shouldn't compare, you're in Texas. But I don't know about the humidity in Texas. Let's do 2 deadlifts just to get my form. All right. Get the butt back. Swing the hips through. Kick it back. Swing through. Tuck my core. Lean forward. And throttle. But so Wednesday's light and easy. Part of it's time. So the goal is to just get out, move my body athletically, get my mind going a little bit, and prove to myself midweek, hey, you still can run. You're an engineer, so I'm sure you know about dew points. Yes, I know all about the dew point. Japan is just perpetually wet, max humidity. Right, they push humidity as far as it can go. It gets hazy. But so Wednesday gets you out on your feet. You get to work out all that lactic acid from your Monday long run, and you get to keep it light. Check your box. We don't really press up or anything on that. Thursday, I do another lift with a different rotation of 6 lifts. And then Friday, Fridays are hell days. Friday is the money. It is the anchor of all of my long distance training. It is the most despised, worst thing you could possibly do. And I make myself do it every week. And I hate it. It's called fartleks. Okay, we're gonna nerd out for a minute. A fartlek is something I learned in high school, but I've augmented. It is a fancy word for interval training when applying it to running long distance. So, fartlek, where I originally started, we would just walk for 1 minute and then do a light jog for 30 seconds and walk for a minute, light jog for 30, and just rotated that across a given distance, like do a fartlek for 1 mile, 1.25 miles. As I've built up, the intervals have evolved. Now, I hold the low interval is this pace. It's my half marathon throttle. And then the upper interval is a hard-hitting run-in pace. You know, I lean forward a lot more intensely. Still keep the G style. And the upper intervals, they're variable. So what it means is I do 1 minute half marathon pace, 30 seconds upper interval, 1 minute half marathon pace, a minute upper interval, 1 minute half marathon pace, a minute 30 upper, 2 minutes, 2:30, 3. The farthest I've pushed is 3:30, 1 minute, 3:30, and then I pyramid all the way back down. So initially these workouts used to take me 12 minutes. Now I'm pushing into 40 minutes. And the whole goal is you're trying to ramp your cardiovascular system. Just hit it really hard. But then as soon as that stopwatch hits the end of the upper, lock in your half marathon pace. Take some Wim Hof breaths to get breathing under control. Slow your heart rate and aggressively recover and sustain. And what this does is it trains you for a hill on a half marathon, or if you roll your ankle or hit some steps, or you set too fast of a pace in the beginning and get winded, and it always allows you to drop back in. Otherwise, if you don't train that, when you hit an obstacle, you drop all the way to a walk, and that's hard to break back into the run. So fartleks are the worst. 95 degrees. Humidity feels like 115. Yep. That sounds about right. So basically you're in Tokyo right now then. Tokyo has the same vibe. By the way, friends, for an update, we ran to the 4 mile marker, just ran back to the 3 mile marker. So what's great about that is last week we only made it to the 3.5 mile marker and turned back, which got us 7 miles. Today we pushed half a mile farther, but half a mile back. So we're on track for 8 miles, assuming we finish, which is beautiful. And because we just hit the 3 mile marker, that means we're already 5 miles in. We have 3 miles to go. So if we can keep the pace mellow, we're in good shape. But my friend Jose, are you just running? Like, did you put shoes on and you're jogging and chatting with me? Because that would be so awesome. Just to run with you on day one. So cool. And what's neat about my program, it's 116 workouts over 16 weeks. Mix of strength and runs. I put a GoPro on my head and I got every single one recorded. And it starts at my day 0. Today is my day 450. And I've looped the program, I think, 3 or 4 times. So I'm still tweaking it. Still lying on the couch. Get off the couch! Run! Doing is much more than learning. Just playing. But if you need accountability and a virtual running buddy, I'm here for you. And I'd be happy to get you in on the program. Right now everything's on Google Class, but I'll migrate it. Does Runna give you strength and conditioning? Oh. And the whole program's just based on goodwill. Like, running does not come easy to me. I'm a big guy. I had a lot of spinal injuries to work through. I was getting epidural injections every other week, saying they do for pregnant women, where they put a needle in your spine. Whew. Just to dampen the pain. But I did years of physical therapy, worked with multiple trainers online, and then ended up crafting the program with one of those trainers. They curated all the lifts, I curated all the runs, I recorded the end-to-end journey. Because I think everyone within reason should be able to go out and have a path towards health and wellness. And running is super challenging, but super rewarding for folks who can integrate it into their lifestyle. That's the big thing. It has to be integrated. It has to become a non-negotiable in your life. Good day, bad day, lots of sleep, no sleep. Perfect eating, suboptimal eating, sore, not sore. Rain, snow, hail, heck, a typhoon. I've run in a couple typhoons. They're just a Japanese hurricane. You gotta integrate it and find that grit. There's Mount Fuji. So right over the bridge, that little lump. Clear sky, you got lucky. Very rare. I mean, it doesn't come through all that well with a phone screen, but there it is for you. I actually ran a half marathon at the foot of it. If you go on our channel and search marathon, or if you want to search a challenging long word, lake. Actually, just search lake on my channel, it'll probably come up. But Lake Yamanakako. One of the hardest ones for me to remember, Lake Yamanakako. Did a half marathon. I think it took me about 3 hours. License a little blurry, but the views are amazing. Well, that's awesome, friend. I know I'm shaking. I've been holding you in my hand this whole run for an hour now. All right, this is the 2.5 mile marker, just for us to get hype about something. So from our starting point, we ran out here to 2.5 miles. We ran past it, past the 3 mile marker, past the 3.5 mile marker, to the 4 mile marker. Then we ran back to the 3 mile marker. That put us to 5 miles. And we just ran to the 2.5 mile marker, which puts us at 5.5 miles in. Whew. That's how long it takes, how hard it is. But we're still here. We're still progressing. We have the best attitude we can have for something as challenging as this. I'm really working right now on getting my shoulder height right, getting my upper back in a good posture. That's why I'm pointing you forward, so I can have my hands kind of level instead of keeping you perked up this way, even though it's a nice view, right? Not me, the background. Well, I guess I'm okay too. But right now I'm doing kind of like some form checks, bracing my core, making my mid-lower back taut, keeping my feet behind me. I'm also checking my pace. My pace is picking up a little bit, which is a weird thing you'll navigate when you start doing longer runs, like the enduringly long, terrible runs. When you pass certain milestones or thresholds, you will, the background, of course, yes. When you hit certain markers, you'll kind of like feel this sense of closeness to the finish, like you know where the finish is relative to where you are, so you know what you have to traverse. But your brain, because you're uncomfortable, right, this is hard, will want to rip off the band-aid. Will be like, all right, well, great job making it to 5.5 miles, but it's a busy day. We got crap to do. and you just subtly start noticing your pace actually creeps faster rather than slower. A slow creep's another problem we can talk about. Sounds hilarious. But a fast creep is dangerous because then you start feeling winded and gassed, you get overwhelmed, and then the end starts to feel really far away and you give up. Whew. My phone's getting hot. We'll see if it makes it. But so with the fast creep, one of the things that we can do, and I'll model it in a second. Just got past Oji-san. No, that was Obama-san. Is we could do Wim breathing. So Wim breathing is 2 forceful inhales. So you're going to inhale really hard so your lungs feel full. And then you're going to squeeze or stack a second inhale. You're trying to really expand your lungs, even if you're winded. You want to pause or hold it for a tiny bit, and then you want to forcefully exhale it. Pause a tiny bit, and then we're going to loop that. And with each breath, if you can, you want to increase the length of the pause. And it's going to re-expand the small airways of your lung, even though it's tricky. It's going to give you extra oxygen. So it helps fight how lethargic you start to feel, how sore. But the other thing is those increasing the pauses helps you in parallel settle into a pace that you actually can maintain to finish. Like long distance running is a discipline because you're actually learning how to elongate a workout that includes light strain as opposed to full intensity. So let's do 10 breaths so I can model it, and we'll try to settle our pace. So this is to fight creeping pace. So 2 inhales, and I inhale through nose, out through my mouth. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, one more, and then I'll settle. Like I literally give myself like a little hop, and it's like finding that more mellow pace, but it gives you a sense of control on the run. Whew. It's hard to make yourself breathe when everything in you's like, hey, let's just be done. Right? We've been at it for a while. We're at the pat on the back point of the run. It's another mindset that's hard of like, oh, look, we woke up. We put on our shoes. You know, we started off sore, but we still got it in. Look, we ran 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles. This is mile marker 2, which means we just hit 6 miles. Whew, wouldn't it be nice to just be able to talk in a more relaxed manner? Yeah, let's just really, really bring it down. Let's just walk out the rest of the workout. Now, there's nothing wrong with walking. I talk about this all the time. It's an amazing tool. It can enable you to go farther distances. It can protect you from impact if something's not moving the right way mechanically. Yeah, it's really good for your mental health. Like, if your choice is to walk or couch, Jose, I still see you. No, but if your choice is to walk or couch, always walk any way you can. If your choice in work is to send a Teams message or an email or walk for 3 minutes across the office and drop by someone's desk. Walk. If your choice is elevator or stairs, walk. Like, these very small, subtle choices increase your longevity and your mental health tremendously. And they represent little moments of you choosing something difficult. Well, I'm on the bed now. You're moving the wrong direction, bud. Walking backwards before and after runs helps me out. Yeah! Dude, I don't know if you've seen the knees over toe guy. I'm all about backwards walking. I do it every week. That's really good for your shins as well. But right now I could totally walk and talk. Absolutely an option. And you know what? I'd still get cardio. I'd still get the distance. My body would still end up stronger with more cardiovascular endurance. I just know right now, even though it's uncomfy and challenging, a jog at a half marathon pace, it's still within my capability. So for me, I want to follow or find the edge of that capability every workout safely, because, you know, in many ways I'm on the clock just like everybody else. Like, what we don't realize, we've been socialized to eat so much garbage food and be so sedentary. I'm not ragging on you, Jose. You're still on day one. So even the thought of putting on shoes versus not is a win, right? And you paid for the app, so you got some sunk financial costs. So hopefully you'll find some grit and get it done. But I'm on the clock. Like, when you get into the bracket of obesity, the longer you stay in that bracket, the higher the risks. And the risks cascade into everything. So, obesity is when your body mass index passes a certain threshold. I can't remember exactly what that number is, but like in the US, compared to the globe, like 70 something percent of people have already crossed into obesity, which means our sedentary lifestyles, the foods we eat, the quantity of food we eat, all these things put us on a pathway towards tons of health condition issues. Loss of mobility is a big one. Like, all that extra weight puts extra load on all of your joints. So you're on a pathway towards, like I was, spinal surgery, knee surgery, hip surgery, which, depending on the surgery, is good for 2 years to 5 years, sometimes 10. But you're continuing to body mod in order to stay active. And these surgeries are happening sooner and sooner. And every time you have one of these surgeries, recovery is painful. Thus, your ability to return to the same level of health and fitness or transcend it gets harder. So your obesity starts to become locked. Then you have weight loss surgeries, pharmaceutical solutions. Sometimes these do have a level of efficacy, which means they're effective for certain people. But a large portion of people who go through these procedures or leverage these drugs put the weight back on quite quickly because the lifestyle doesn't change. You're predisposed to diabetes, pricking yourself with a needle every day, which leads to a lot of downstream health issues. Heart disease, premature heart failure. If 70%, I forgot the number, of Americans are obese, they're already predisposed to all these downstream issues. So for me, when I work out, I am on the clock. I have to get within safe control limits as quickly as possible, but as safely as possible. And then treat that as a locked lifestyle. Otherwise, I'll be back on the path to surgery or on the path towards diabetes or heart disease. Like, there is legitimate cause and effect. I think the hard part is the circles we grow up in, the way that our family lives, moves, or doesn't move and eats, impacts our starting point. And I had a very bad starting point. I ate like crazy. I was off the rails. Food was a comfort emotionally. Yeah, and now every Monday morning I'm choosing a discomfort like this because I'm also choosing a greater downstream comfort by avoiding spinal surgery because I was definitely predisposed towards it. I was on the path towards it. I did a free trial of the app, but I'm going to cancel after it ends. Noise! Subscription's $18 a month. So I'll just screenshot the plan. Nice! That's awesome. My plan's forever. It's free. Besides the pain, it shouldn't be pain. Besides the sweat you gotta put in to see your results. I don't believe there's an easy half marathon or an easy marathon. But I do believe that anyone within reason is capable of training up for it. And far too many of us exclude ourselves from that accomplishment based on what our starting place is, right? So happy for you to hit day 1, day 2. And every time you drop in on a live, that'll be my first question, is what day are you on? Like, that's the culture I want to create. What day are you on the journey? And hey, if you hit a bump in the road and restart, keep counting days. There's no need to punish yourself for a broken streak for 1 or 2 days, or 4 days, whatever. Jump back in and keep counting. Keep moving forward. That's the cool thing about running. It is always forward, even if you end up looping a familiar path. Oh my God, I'm so tired. Pretty much 90% of my mother's side of the family has diabetes. Oh crap, man. She had to make some changes. I was 250 September of last year. I'm 190. Yeah, because you lost 60 with intermittent, right? That's amazing, dude. How do you feel? Like, to have navigated that much weight loss, it's incredibly significant. Like, how did you continue to stay in the journey and make that progress? And did you also constrict intake? Like, I know you're intermittently fasting, but, 1 second. But as you lose weight, your body, it's a weird evolutionary trait that actually kills us in today's society. But like, as you start to lose weight, often our bodies are like, whoa, wait, that helps us survive. What if there's a famine? We're gonna need that. So sometimes you have to actually reduce your caloric intake more and more as you see progress. Otherwise you plateau. Doing it safely, right? We're not pushing anyone towards anorexia, anything like that. People hear restriction or reduction and they freak out. But the reality is the vast majority of people are in a state of overconsumption. Whew. But 60 pounds, dude. You got me over here like, I want that. What did you do? Can you package that up and make it real easy for me? I want that result with no life change right now. How do I get that? Give me that plan. Yes, restricted caloric intake and substitution chips for KFC. Leafy greens, protein, let's go! Jose wants to live! No, that's amazing, friend. Those swaps, they're huge. Jose's gonna live forever. Like Voldemort, right? Severus, only I can live forever. As he hands Severus back the bucket of KFC and takes that kale for himself, right? Vatican cabbage. Or cabbage. That's amazing, dude. How's your family navigated that? Like, you've been doing the hard path. You've been consistent. You've seen that progress. Like, do you find it difficult to be in proximity with family? Or has it been like inspiring small shifts? Like, do people see the change? And it may be different from like your immediate nuclear family that you're near more often than the extendeds. Because like, you see your cousin after a year of being apart at Christmas, right? They're like, oh my gosh, Jose, what happened to you? Okay. Making good progress, friends. I'll tell you what, that's the mile 1 marker from where we started. So we ran out to here, that was 1 mile. Ran past it to 2, 3, 4 mile markers. Ran back to 3. How is it? Well, ran back to 3. Ran to mile 2 and mile 1. That means we hit 7. Everyone gets 7 miles. Oh, we're dripping. It's brutal. It's not fun. It's funny. I feel like if me and Jose could like connect our strengths, we would make one super Joe. Because my name's Joe. You're Jose. I think Jose and Joe isn't. Because I think when I was learning Spanish, my Spanish name was Jose. So we're like brothers. Brother from another mother. But if I could take Jose's diligence and discipline with his KFC swap bucket, give me that bucket of salad, Jose could run like a big man gazelle like me. Together, we start hitting into that elite athlete territory. Make it till we're, I don't know, 50, 60 years old and get hit by a bus anyway. A life wasted by not indulging in the KFC bucket. So I started with the 20-hour fast. Ooh, nice. In 4 eating windows, got several eggs and sausage, lots of spinach. The longer you will be in a ketogenic state and use fat as fuel. So do you always do a 20-hour window? Or was that just to like kickstart it? Did it with my dad. He looks silver fox. That's amazing. I love it. I love it. That's so great, dude. I'm so glad you had a buddy. So Silver Fox, get a train up for a half marathon with us. We could all run it together virtually. Do our weekly coaching calls. Get you across the finish line. You got a great foundation to build off of, friend. So, here's the challenge. I'm going to be very honest with the challenge that's coming up for me and just where I'm at. Whew, from a headspace perspective. We got the sun at our back. It sucks. I'm dripping. Water is very far away. And it's at this awkward point where like if we stop to drink water, we gotta restart. And we have multiple flights of stairs that are about to hit. And that cardio increase in heart rate It's going to be really hard to progress up those steps and to keep pace, to control the breathing and finish. Because all we want, right now, all we want is to be done. So I'm just sharing that because I'm going to do the best I can do with it. But we are in the point of, I don't know. Yes, Joe's Jose. Folks in my family call me Joe. That's our first stairs. It looks small, but it sucks. At least we got some cute doggies. Climb, breathe. Wind off. Chop the feet. Keep going. I'm still moving. Alright, first one down. It could have been worse. Watch me roll an ankle. Fall down these steps. Alright, so we got water. It's kind of midway between here and the finish. There's a part of me that wants to push past it and just finish. But there's a toxic mindset that water makes you weak. That is not true. Your body needs water. Wim Hof! I call it out every run, man. Man changed my life. Whew. Oh, Gordo! My dad's nickname, because he was half Japanese, but all his Japanese bully friends used to call him Debu-chan, which means fat baby in Japanese. I've heard Gordo. I've heard that one before. You're no Gordo. Whew. So, mad respect for engaging your health journey the way you have. We've entered the we've been here for a while. We've entered the slowly fading point of any run. We're losing control. Wim Hof has gone on vacation. There's nothing left. Very weak Wim Hofs, baby Wim Hof. Breathe. Keep it up, almost there. Love it. Love it. Love the motivation, the support. Wait till you see this last stairwell, dude. It'll humble any man or woman. My Japanese peers walk and run it every day. It's wild. How can I want? Let's keep pushing. You know, it's funny. You're about to start a half marathon program at day one. I wouldn't start counting there. Buy water. I want you. But I know I got some at home. How can I want? There's a truck behind me. Not running a truck, so I don't die. Breathe. We need all our air. This stairwell's gonna try to kill us. That's how it's gonna feel. We have to remember, it's training us. It's gonna make us better. Whew. But yeah, Jose, don't start your count at day one. of your half marathon program. I would look back to when you and your father made that choice to do intermittent fasting together. Set that as day 0. You locked in. You're eating first, which is amazing, right? And now you're building on the journey by hitting this incredible fitness milestone. It's just another day of putting on your shoes and getting to work in a different context. Here's our mellow river. This is so fun though during typhoons or hurricanes. Like it rides really close to the top. Super dangerous. Right. Super winded. Super demotivated. Lactic acid's catching up. Form's getting a little mushy. Core's a little weak. But here we go. This race is dedicated to Jose. Here we go. Good God. There we go. And what sucks, at the top of these, the hill keeps climbing. It doesn't end at the stairs. And then when it plateaus, there's this beautiful little like 100-foot plateau stretch. And then a double flight of stairs. And then it ends. Okay, come on. Come on. Love the motivation. I'll start tomorrow. Also, I'll just run a 5K in an hour. Oh, frick. It's still going. You see how slow that shadow is? But I've been chasing my shadow all day. See? More hill. What the frick? Who's the idiot? Who's the idiot who picked this course? It's so fun. That's a stop. And we keep going. What the frick? It's 4:40 here. Let's go. You still got time. Yeah, it's almost 7 here. I got a whole day ahead of me. A whole week ahead of me. But you know what? We got out here and we ran 8. So you center your week on success. I'm doing a terribly hard thing. Breathe. Whew. But 8 miles in, no shin splints, my guy. Sorest part, my lower abs. Holding posture. It's all posture, mechanics. And honestly, the distance I can run is trained in the gym with how I lift. Here we go. Up and over. We're gassed. Almost there. Happy Island. All right, last stretch. Gotta get out. I have work from around 8 p.m. till 9. Well, that's exciting. I'm gonna have to do my run around 5 a.m. Love it. Love it. That's when I hit mine. All right. All right, let's go. This is our finish line. This is this little tiny line. Ta-da. One second. I'm gonna run past the smoker. Sketch encounters. Oh, that's a long story. Not in Japan, but as a kid in Chicago. Had a couple unsavory interactions. That's one of the hard parts about even the privilege of like being a male athlete. I could literally wake up, go out and train whenever and wherever I want. I mean, depending on where I am, there are inherent risks. There are certain paths that are maybe ill-advised to run down. But being a big 6'3", 300-pound man doesn't do much against a gun or a knife. But in Japan, I'm larger than 98.99% people here. Down in Chirac, yeah, exactly right. Oh, that right, Chirac. Yeah, I remember that going around. Oh, frick, we did it. Jose, you hung out for like an hour and a half. Thank you so much, friend. It's so nice to meet you. Now, I do my best to remember everyone who comes to the live. We do have like a community of 40,000 folks across TikTok and YouTube, and then smaller inner circles that I'm collecting on Discord and eventually bringing into like a community on school. One community for fitness enthusiasts, another for engineers and technical folks. So anytime you drop in a live, at this point, if you don't change your tag, I'll definitely remember some of these little details. But if I don't go live for 2 weeks or something because of life, like, you are more than welcome to reintroduce whatever you want when you come into chat, re-spark where you're at, what day in your program that you and your dad lost X amount of weight, or whatever you want to brag on anytime you come in. Eventually it'll lock. It just takes time as we grow. Whew, we did it, friends. Here's our nice still moment. That's all you get. It's hard earned. I gotta go be a dad. I've been one to go on your IG lives before. You were staining a bench with no sandpaper. That's awesome. I'm so glad you made that one. Yeah, I do DIY, I cook, I clean, I do everything. It's fun. All right, friends, I'm gonna pop off. Keep changing the world. Go get whatever day you're on next.